Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. We're getting into the end of winter, the start of spring. My 5-year-old daughter looked outside and saw some flowers growing today, and she said, "Daddy, I think spring's here." I have no clue if that's true or not, but it feels that way. So we're going to end with winter, go into spring. We're going to talk about the state of the market. I'm going to go through all the games that I carry here in the shop or that we've talked about on the channel. Just give you guys my thoughts and my feelings on these games, where I kind of feel like the market is as a whole in the collectible industry, and just have an open dialogue. And I would love to hear your comments and questions and your dialogue in the comment section as well. You can also hop in the Kitchen Table TCG Discord server at KitchenTableTCG.com. It's completely free. Thank you to everybody who does support the channel. It's been wild. Today we actually had to pay $800 or $900 for a new HVAC unit thing that's up there. So it's been a wild experience opening this LGS and doing this thing. I appreciate all the support. And it's been fun. Man, I can't tell you how much fun I've had over the last 3 years and how honored and blessed I am to be able to run a game store. That's like such a lucky thing to do. So let's get into it. First and foremost, I want to start here. There are way too many games right now in the world. It is unbelievable how often somebody comes into the store and asks if I carry a game that I don't even carry yet or don't plan on carrying. And it's also, I'm not even talking about like people, I've got games reaching out to me at Kitchen Table TCG as a YouTube channel asking if I'll promote their game probably twice, 3 times a month. It's unbelievable how often new games are popping up and how often consumers are asking for different things. So it's really a wild experience. I don't feel like this can last. I want to start there. There is a finite number of games I think that can be in existence and can be played at LGSs. And as a store owner, it's really hard to weed through which games should I pick up and which games should I have on the shelf and which games should I host events. There's only so many days in the week. So we're running events every single night. And it's a lot to keep up with. And I think that there is an end for that. But there's no stop for the games right now popping up. It's kind of wild. So if you don't see your game here on this list, I apologize. Let me know in the comment section what you'd like us to talk about. But I'm going to talk about the things I like and the things that we carry. And then I'm also going to talk about some of the stuff that's been on the channel in the past, just because I know people want me to. So first off, let's start off with Magic the Gathering. The biggest question mark I think that Magic the Gathering has in its current ecosystem and the current season is play booster boxes. You know, we've switched from draft and set to these play boosters. And Murders at Karlov Manor, it wasn't a great start for that. That's probably putting that pretty, that's probably a little bit light on what I should be saying. It was not a great start with it. It would be really interesting to see how Thunder Junction performs, how they move forward from those play boosters, if they had enough time to change things up and that kind of thing. All that being said, Magic is in a really, really good spot right now. I know nobody wants me to say that. I know the comment section likes when we're negative on Magic, but Magic is in a good spot right now. We have no problem firing events. We do draft every Friday night. We have anywhere from 12 to 20 for our draft on Friday nights in West Virginia. So like it can happen. We're gonna have a ton of people here for the Fallout Commander night this Friday night. It is a wild thing for anybody to say that Magic is not growing, because I think Magic as a player base is growing. I think there's people coming in every day. And so I think Magic's doing pretty good. I think the biggest issues is price point, and that's probably honed in by Hasbro. Price point and accessibility of things. It's getting a little bit out of hand with that kind of stuff. But all in all, I feel good as a store owner about the current state of Magic. Now, that being said, I have, greatly reduced my numbers that I'm ordering. I have adapted my business because of the way that Magic pricing is and the community's response to the pricing. I've had to change my business model away from focusing on sealed product and wanting to sell and move a ton of sealed product to now I think that the win for Magic is singles. And I gotta say, the Magic singles economy, I know reprints are rough and whatever, I get that, but from a store owning perspective, somebody who moves through singles one day at a time. In other words, when singles come in, I don't sit on them for weeks and months. We have a small display case here that has some of like the Commander staples and that kind of stuff that move in store. And then we have a kiosk that's connected to TCG players. So when you sell us your singles, they're up there and they sell. 3 or 4 days, I bet you they're gone. So I'm not worried about them reprinting something and me losing a bunch of money, that kind of thing. That's not something that I have to worry about as a store, because it's not something that I focus on. I've changed my my business model on the way that I buy cards in order to compensate for that. But I do understand from a player perspective how that can be frustrating. Now, all that being said, there is still a lot of people coming into the game. They're just going to Commander, and I'm wildly frustrated as a Magic boomer by the idea that the average player of Magic the Gathering in my store has probably never played a one-on-one Magic format, like a 60-card deck format. They certainly, at my store, a lot of them have moved on to draft and that kind of stuff, but a lot of them have never played like a constructed 60-card format. And that's wild, and I would love to see Magic try to change that. And they're trying to do that with the standard play and that kind of stuff, and I'm not sure that it's working. But at the end of the day, more and more people are experiencing Magic the Gathering, and Commander is growing. And I gotta say, the new Commander decks, they're really good. They're really strong. They seem to have found a really good rhythm of product in terms of the Commander decks and that kind of stuff. And I think that's part of the reason why we are seeing the market kind of start moving forward. We said a couple months ago in our last video like this, I thought everything was going to stay pretty flat. We're starting to trickle up a little bit on the vintage side. The Magic Con in Chicago was a great example of seeing things move and talking to other vendors and seeing where stuff is. There's starting to be some demand for that kind of reserve list stuff again after the aftermath of Magic 30th has kind of died down. The vintage market, especially revised duels and that kind of stuff, starting to creep back up there. I, for one, from a collecting standpoint, not a store owning standpoint, I moved a lot of the stuff that I purchased last year into Power 9. We'll see a video later this week or next week maybe where I'm going to share that. I've actually finished my Power 9 set, so I'm pretty excited about that. The biggest question, I think, for the Magic economy is, do young people start caring about vintage Magic cards? Do they kind of transfer this, this generational gap? Do we see this, or is the average Magic player just getting older? And when you see new Commander players coming in, I think that's a good sign. I think Wizards, it's just not known if Wizards is ever going to create some sort of love and affection of the new players into the old reserve list vintage stuff or not. We'll see. So those are the concerns I have for Magic and the thoughts. As a store, though, we get tons of trade-ins. The demand for cards and singles is really high. We've just had to move away. We're still doing new product and sealed product. I just order way less. And at the end of the day, like it works out because we are doing a lot of volume in singles and that kind of stuff. Magic as a economy is much more a singles game now than it was 10 years ago with the sealed product and stuff like that. So, all right, let's move on to Pokemon. Pokemon, I don't know. A lot of people are down on Pokemon. Listen, Paldea Fates and Scarlet and Violet era has been rough. It has not been the hype that a lot of the Sword and Shield era was. But early Sword and Shield era wasn't full of hype either. And I am always amazed by the difference in my Pokemon community compared to my Magic community. And that is that the diversification of the age is absolutely mind-boggling. We have like a 70-year-old woman who comes in here and she's trying to finish her Silver Tempest set. Now, she's not doing this to collect for a kid or something like that. She just got into it randomly because it's a whole story. She's trying to finish a Silver Tempest set. And then we have kids come in, 8, 9, 10 years old all the time, buying packs, buying slabs, their first slab that they got at Game Grove. They get all excited about it. There is such a diversification of age. There's 25-year-old couples who come in. We got a bunch of restaurants. They come in after eating out and they buy a booster box to crack open when they get home. It's like the diversification of age for Pokemon gives me so much confidence in Pokemon. I don't know how to explain it to you. When I buy Pokemon, I don't try to just get my money back because I'm afraid of it falling and being worthless in 2 years, 3 years. I just sit on it because the demand for it is crazy. It is absolutely insane. that goes for modern, it goes for vintage, it goes for everything. And I know that they are printing a ton of product right now. I know that the Scarlet and Violet era has not been the free tendies that the Sword and Shield, the end of the Sword and Shield era was. But I have a lot of confidence in Pokemon because of their ability to create new customers and new people who care about their IP and love the Pokemon ecosystem. So I personally focus most of my collecting into vintage, but as a store, we move a ton of cards and sealed product. I mean, like, I don't ever have to go on TCG Player to sell Pokemon because locally things move so well here. And it doesn't matter if it's old or new or the newest thing, or it doesn't matter if it's a slab or single. It just seems like there's always demand for literally everything. We got some Japanese Neogenesis packs. I bought like 8 of them off of a guy locally, and I never thought they would sell. I didn't think we had a market for it here. I've sold 6 of the 8 packs already. I mean, it's crazy, the diversification and the amount of product that you can sell on a wide spread. It's just really interesting. So I have no fear about Pokemon. And in fact, like, I am trying to still increase my Pokemon allocations at distro because it just seems like no matter what, there's a fail safe in terms of the value. I can always get my money back out of it somehow, whether that be if I need to trade it for some other product just to make some room or whatever. There's always a value there for it. But personally, I like collecting vintage. I'm working through a Wizards of the Coast era set. My goal is by the end of this year or next year to have a full Wizards of the Coast era up until the Legendary collection. I'm not going to go past that. But Scarlet and Violet, though, I do think we will see a bounce later in the Scarlet and Violet era. I think they're going to do the similar thing that Sword and Shield did. I mean, Sword and Shield was in the pandemic, so you do have that going for it. But I think they took more risks earlier in the Scarlet and Violet era in terms of the different Pokemon and whatever. And I think 151 and Paldean Fates has really jump-started a lot of the excitement for Pokemon. But we'll see what happens. All right, let's move on to Lorana. Lorana is one of the wildest. If it wasn't for sorcery, I would say Lorana is the wildest TCG experience I've had over the last year. Lorana, the demand is absolutely insane. It is wild to see. Out of every game that I've ever covered on this channel, all the way back, out of every game I've ever covered, Lorana has 30 times more people who have come into the store and asked about it. Lorana is Pokemon status in terms of local people coming into the store and asking about it. Now, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration because our Pokemon shelf's right there, so people see it. But a lot of people come in looking for Lorana, and that's not, like, I can't say that about any other game that I've covered that's not Magic and Pokemon. People come to the store looking for Lorana, and that's wild. That is super interesting. The demand is huge. I was pretty negative on it early on. One of the big things I was negative on is, will the demand continue once the free tendies are gone? I think I was wrong. Like, I think straight up, I think the demand is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty strong. So I do think it will cool down because I think supply is just rapidly increased. I think that Ravensburg or whatever has increased the supply to meet that demand pretty healthily. And so I do think that the price point and things are now more risky. I do think we're going to get a reprint of the first chapter. I think Floodborne will eventually be a $90 box on TCG Player for a while. I think this is going to move and follow the model of what Pokemon does, which is that they don't want their boxes to be instant flips on TCG Player and that kind of thing. They want their boxes to sit on shelves so that when consumers come in, there are boxes to purchase. That is their goal for Lorana. I believe that they believe in the demand of the product, that they want it to be on the shelf at Target, they want it to be on the shelf at Walmart, they want it to be on the shelf at your local game store, and they want it to be on the shelf for a long time. So be very, very careful on the idea that you will be able to flip this stuff. I do think that right now the EV seems to be pretty positive. But all in all, it's impressive the amount of demand that they've got, and it's an impressive thing. I think this set right now into the Incans gets a pass probably. I think the fourth set's going to be kind of more make or break for Lorana. It depends on how they handle this. We've seen this in the past with TCG developers. The first kind of 3 sets are typically developed previous to the launch of the first set. They kind of have a direction going for it. And now this 4th, 5th set, it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep the excitement and the interest up. But I have to say, our Saturday afternoon Lorcana, it is always packed. We always have people here. We always have new people coming, and that's pretty impressive. And there is a huge demand for Lorcana. So keep an eye out, though. I do think prices are going to start dropping pretty good. So if you are interested in product, I would definitely start thinking about picking it up as you start seeing those products. Anything under $100 is like, man, you're pretty close to distro pricing on that kind of stuff. So just so you know what that is, it's definitely a good look. All right, let's move on to Sorcery. Sorcery Contested Realm, my favorite game. I'm just going to say it. My favorite game to play, my favorite game to collect. I love Sorcery. You can call me in the comment section. I had somebody call me a Sorcery fanboy the other day. I will wear that proud. I like Sorcery a lot. Let's talk about Sorcery, though, because there are some things. First and foremost, I want to show you. These are the playmats. Oh, they're all the way over here. We have a 48-person Sorcery tournament coming to Game Grove this weekend. And this is the top 8 playmat. I'm really excited about these. The top 8 playmat. I don't know if you can see that or not. The top 8 playmat. Really, really super cool. And then the Game Grove playmat here. Really cool for the champion of the tournament. Really excited about this. I'm just really excited to hang out with people and watch them play Sorcery. I won't get to play because I'll be busy running the store and talking to people and whatever. But it's really cool to see all these events popping up on, these ones on the East Coast for the Cortesian Cup, the Parmesan Cheese Cup. On the West Coast, we're seeing a bunch of stuff. In Texas next weekend, there's a major event going on. I think it's really, really cool how the community is starting to move from flippy attendees, collecting focus to now you're starting to see a lot of gameplay and a lot of events pop up, and that's really, really, really good. I wish, though, that being said, that's my excitement. My fear and my negative side of this is I wish it was easier of a game to teach. It is a tough game to get a local crowd going for. The games take pretty long. It's a harder game to learn, and it's a harder game to teach. There's a lot of intricacies to the rules. And it's not because there's not product available. Like, I am currently buying product online to sell at basically above MSRP because I have to buy it online to get it. And as a store, it's a little frustrating because you want to create a community for people and you want them to be able to buy packs and boxes, but they can't. So it's kind of this like weird dichotomy of things. And I think and I hope that Arthurian Legends can solve a lot of that issue. And so that's why I'm so excited for Arthurian Legends, because I've taught a lot of people how to play, and then there's not a whole lot for them to do. One booster box that they purchased when they played isn't enough for them to build their collection and build a deck or whatever. They have to go to TCG Player. And the average consumer, I know this is going to baffle you on the internet because you're an internet consumer. You watch YouTube videos about TCGs. You're not in the norm. The average consumer doesn't want to have to buy things online. They want to hold things. So with Arthurian Legends, I'm excited to have another restart point for my local store to build some community. We've got probably 5 to 6 guys actively playing and picking up cards and whatever, and I try to help them out. I bought a playset of beta, so I'm just like giving people cards now to build decks just to have a little community. And I'm excited about that, and that's really, really good. I guess for me, I wanted it to grow faster locally, and I'm a little bit bummed that it didn't grow like some of the other games that I've got going are growing. But that's just the way it is. I'm also like the champion for Sorcery here. I'm just a busy guy, so like I can't always be here for our event, and that just kind of ruins the feng shui of the whole thing. Compared to shout out to Donald, who runs our Lorcana, and he's always here, and he's it's just more committed because he has the time for it. But that being said, OP is hard, but collecting and the collecting and investing side of Sorcery seems to be stupid active still. I am absolutely shocked that we haven't seen bigger retracements on alpha boxes and cases and that kind of thing. An alpha box is like $1,400 right now. I thought we would see more back and forth in retracements. Things have slowed down a little bit in terms of like the singles economy. That's not surprising to me. Like, it was on fire and people are finishing their sets and people are finishing their stuff. but the sealed product still seems like it moves pretty fast on the marketplaces. I think the demand's still pretty strong. I think the EV is probably still positive on an alpha box in volume. If you open enough of them over time, I think it's actually still pretty active. We're also starting to see the market value some things. We had Philosopher's Stone foil in a 9 BGS 9 sell this weekend for like $4,000 around. Don't quote me on the prices. And then I believe the 9.5 ended around 6 or 6.5. I don't remember the prices off the top of my head. But you're starting to see premiums pop up for like a BGS 9 compared to 9.5, and that's a good sign of the economy picking up and moving and people starting to gain interest again. And at the end of the day, the artwork is fantastic. The company is committed to their vision. I have to say, I've been negative about things. Other consumers have talked about things. The company seems to just be like, look, this is what we're doing. And it's gonna work or it's not gonna work. And I gotta give them credit. Like, they are trying something different here, and I think it's really cool. So again, really stoked, really excited for Arthurian Legends. I think it's gonna produce a whole nother slew of hype for it. And like I said, as a store, that OP kind of side of things, it's gonna help a ton to have new product in the store, product on the shelf, regenerate some of that interest and excitement. It's gonna be a big win. So, all right, let's talk about One Piece. I should have brought a drink. Oh well. Let's talk about, this is a long video. Leave a comment or a like right now if you're still watching. One Piece, biggest question mark of the year. I don't know, man. One Piece is crazy. It's absolutely insane. We have a pretty good local scene here for One Piece too. Everybody just wants boxes and they don't exist. I mean, like, I asked for 400 boxes of OP6. I'm not getting anywhere close to that. Like, we're talking 5% or something like that. It's wild, the demand for One Piece. OP6 and 7 are just free tendies. If you can get a box of OP6 or 7 at, I don't even know what MSRP is, it's free money. It's going to be crazy to see how fast that stuff moves. And they came out and said that the supply is going to be limited. I think and I hope that means that OP8 is why that is, that they are putting their, if they have to share their printer time, they're saying OP8 or whatever would be the time of which we can catch up. I'm hoping that's the reason that 6 and 7 are slower printed. And so I think OP8 is my question. I also think distribution for that might change too. At some point, there were some rumors that like Southern or PHG was going to get hooked up with One Piece. They are currently exclusive to GTS and Alliance. And so that would help get more product out there. But Bandai seems to be doing the One Piece thing right. Now there's a whole nother game, Fusion World, that everyone's talking about. And Bandai's starting to pick up in terms of successful card games. I missed One Piece. Man, it's so funny that nobody gives me crap about that on this channel. One Piece is the big, for the whole pandemic, we never talked about it. And like, One Piece is huge. It's wild. I think the reprint is going to end up more towards the big box stores. This is a hot take. I don't think like my store is going to get much of the reprint of 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. I think most of that product's going to end up going in blister packs to the big stores. It just makes more sense. The big stores don't scalp it. And so I think that's the way they're going to go, which is pretty good for the booster box price if you have those. But don't quote me on that. That's just a theory that I have. Gameplay, it's fast. You guys know we talked about this. Gameplay's fast. It's got the anime stuff that people are excited about. It's a really successful game. No sign in slowing down. People are excited about it. A lot of the Pokemon collectors have moved to Lorana and to One Piece. It'll be interesting to see that kind of dichotomy, to see if they turn back around to Pokemon, but they seem really excited about One Piece. Okay, 3 more games to talk about. Let's get into Star Wars. I haven't talked about this much on the channel. I posted a video today, the gameplay. This is a game that a lot of people in my store asked me to carry and were really interested in. And then we do Gamegenic products, so my Asmodee rep was really pushing it. So I took a stab at it. I did the big bundle for a store that you can do. I took a stab at it. I'm pretty excited about it. It seems to have a lot of traction at the store. There's a lot of fear from the Star Wars community about another TCG for Star Wars. We had a couple of them from Fantasy Flight basically go, like, Star Wars Destiny was stupid popular, and then like they just pulled the plug. They're essentially like, it's not profitable enough, so we're out. And that's really fearful. I think it produces a lot of fear in the community about it. But for me, first off, I love Star Wars, the old Star Wars stuff. And this is old Star Wars. This is not, This is not the new episode 8, 9, whatever. I'm not a big fan of the new stuff. It's just not the same for me. It feels like old Star Wars, which is a big win. But then the biggest thing is Asmodee is backing it. And Asmodee, they're not just distributing it, they are managing it. It's kind of wild. I don't know all the details of it, but from a store perspective, Asmodee they're sending us kits and promos and like a whole display of Vader and whatever. They are really, really encouraging play and encouraging stores, and they have a huge reach. The Star Wars game has going for it what every game company tries to get distribution to do, which is they try to get distro to encourage the stores to buy the game. But Asmodee already have the relationship with all the stores, and so when you're talking to your rep and they're like, "Hey, this is going to be a big thing. We're really putting a lot of resources into it." It's a good sign for the game. Now, there is fear. I mean, there is potential and risk for all this stuff. And as a consumer, I would not look at this as like a collectible, really investable TCG just because of what has happened in the past. The risk is too high. But if you like Star Wars and you like trading card games, I don't think that this is something that you shouldn't invest some of your resources and time into to learn how to play it and to have fun with it. Because the gameplay is unique, it is fun, it is exciting, it is thematic, and it's just a really fun game to play. And I think across the board, there's going to be some success with it. And I'm guessing that you can find a local place to play because of the size of it backed by Asmodee. So I don't want to pump it too much because that's not the point. Frankly, our local community is going to be pretty cool about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I just want to make you aware of, I understand the Final Fantasy risk. The Fantasy Flight Games risk. I get that. I've been there. I played Destiny. I get that. But Asmodee backing it is a big deal, and that can be a game changer. And this is still a Star Wars trading card game that has booster packs, and you can pull a really cool Vader, and you can have fun playing Luke versus Vader, and you can make your own Star Wars world, and it is still a really, really big deal. And don't just look at the past and be like, somebody else messed it up. This can be a really big thing, and I'm really excited about it. So I would not recommend you go super heavy in it, but if you are a Star Wars fan and a trading card fan, grab a box and the 2-player starter kit and see if you like it. That's my point. GameGrove.gg. Okay. All right, let's talk about Fab, Flesh and Blood. Everybody always tells me to talk about it. Everybody always asks me why I don't talk about it. We don't talk about it because that's what the channel was way back then. I don't like it anymore. Listen, it is what it is. I'm biased. I want that to be known to anybody who doesn't know my bias. I am biased. I definitely have a negative feeling on Fab because of the way things shook out and went down on the channel with the company and all that stuff. I'm going to do my best to remove any bias from these conversations, to give you what I feel as a store owner, somebody who wants to make money, and I'm going to tell you why I don't carry Fab in the store, even though I want to make money. So let's get there. First and foremost, there is so much competition now in the TCG world. And in the pandemic, everything was online, and we were all focused on that stuff. And that's where Fab really picked up, was the pandemic. But now you have One Piece, you have Lorana, you have a new Star Wars TCG, you have all the ones that I didn't talk about, this Fusion World game that's coming out. You have all these Kickstarters that we'll talk about at the end. You have all this competition, and what it's doing, it's not taking the players that Fab wants from the game. Fab still has a robust and active competitive scene that is probably the most competitive trading card game in the world. It would not surprise me if it is the most successful competitive trading card game in the world. I think that's probably fair. But that being said, all of the new blood that could have been for Fab is so spread on all these different games. The collectors, there's a lot of collectors coming to sorcery from Fab. The players, Lorana, the pack rippers, we're seeing Lorana end up, One Piece end up. The economy of trading card games has moved from this top 3 world to now we're talking there's 7 or 8 active games that people care about and that are pretty big deals in the economy of the trading card game world. That is a big, big difference for a game like Fab, who moved and tried to be the top 3 games. I don't see a world where Fab can be the top 3 most successful or biggest trading card games, even top 4, when you have Lorana and One Piece, and those, that's enough. When you have Lorana and One Piece, I just don't see a world where they can get big enough to do the things that they set out to do. That's my honest opinion. That being said, I have also never had anybody come into my store and ask me for Flesh and Blood. And maybe, I don't know, maybe people know. I don't think they do. I don't think people connect the store and Game Grove to the YouTube channel as much as you probably think that they do, because you watch my YouTube channel. But there's really been nobody that I can think of that's like asked me for Flesh and Blood or asked me to order Flesh and Blood at a local level. And that's a huge telltale sign to me that a lot of the other games are taking the demand away from what could have been for Flesh and Blood. So I wanted to start that there. That being said, still have a lot of people, old Discord people from back when the channel was that, buying boxes. They seem to have a lot of success with it because they're buying significant amounts of boxes, and they are cracking for singles and doing stuff with it. It seems to be pretty successful from that standpoint. So that's great. And then I've heard a lot about heavy hitters being the next WTR, which is really great because I think that's what they needed to go back to, more on the ground, feeling more like a Mortal Kombat game than like a Tron Legacy game, right? Like I think that was a win for Flesh and Blood. I think heavy hitters hits that. No pun intended. I think heavy hitters gets that, and so that's good. The problem with that is that you still have WTR, and WTR has the nostalgia built in and that kind of stuff. So I hope to see heavy hitters move forward as a successful set. Like I said, I've sold a ton of it. It's been pretty good from the perspective online of people who care about it and know that I can get it and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I just don't see it missing from the store. And so there's no plans to come back to that. There's no plans to carry it. I don't feel like I need it. I don't feel like the store wants it, and that kind of stuff. So, okay, let's move away from that. Let's talk about Kickstarter, and then we're going to end this video because I'm very thirsty. Kickstarter games are back, everybody. This is Altered, $7 million or $6.5 million, thousands of backers. Altered is wild, and it really proves that no matter I don't know, man, no matter what, the TCG industry is always wanting something more. It just seems like at some point it's gonna hit this flag of like there can't I started this video off by saying there's too many games, and I believe that wholeheartedly. But I think what's happening in the TCG world is that you're gonna have pockets of people who play at one store or another store in one community that see success differently. And this whole conversation of top 3, top 4 means so much less now than it did in the past. And these Kickstarter games are no joke anymore. And we saw this happen in the board game world with Kickstarter, where things went from like indie developers creating on Kickstarter and seeing success to this world where like full-on companies, like you're seeing with Altered and Asmodee and Gamegenic, full-on companies now are going to use Kickstarter as a platform to grow a huge player base and then release. They're going to do everything that the indies wanted to do, but with success because they have the backing of distribution hubs and whatever. So I think we're entering like this new era of Kickstarter TCGs, where that conversation of indie versus not indie just doesn't even exist. Altered is not an indie TCG. They have a massive company backing them in Asmodee and in the Dixit creators and all that stuff, and that's a huge game changer. I think that you're going to see a lot more games like that pop up from bigger retailers and bigger companies. I'm still waiting for the game that comes out and says that they're going to be the Kickstarter TCG, because I think that market is huge. I think being the Kickstarter TCG, where their entire fulfillment, their entire platform, their entire everything is built around Kickstarter, will happen in the next year or two. And I think that's going to be a pretty big deal in terms of market share and what's going on in the world. So I don't know, it's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what happens with Altered. It's the wildest play in the world in terms of what they're trying to do. They have a huge following. There's a huge community in France apparently that plays TCGs. I don't know, I didn't know that. Somebody on the internet told me it. And they have a huge support structure there. And then having the backing of Asmodee, it's the same thing I said about Star Wars. Having the backing of this massive company that can put the resources to get the game in stores is a big deal, and it changes the whole dichotomy in the system for any new game. So that's my thoughts. I just word vomited them all to you. I would love to hear what you think, what you have to say. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm right. I'd love to have a chat with you about it in the comment section, as well as over on the Discord at KitchenTableTCG.com. Thank you to everybody who supports this channel. We do have on the Discord the Blue Wizards and the Gold Wizards. Gold Wizards gets you, I don't talk about this much, but it's a little awkward, but Gold Wizard gets you access to a lot of product at distro costs. As long as it's orderable from me, you can get it from me. And then the Blue Wizard tier gets you discounts on releases and that kind of stuff. But really, it just supports the channel, and you guys rock. I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. Be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.